Blog Talk Radio.
Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib.
Hetepu, Jambo, Alafia, peace and love to everyone. We welcome you once again to Raseki Radio, and this is Muka Java. I'm here with my sister Ola. Peace and love, sis.
Peace and love. Hetepu.
Hetepu, you sounded good and cheery as always. Give thanks.
Yes, I am thankful. Yes.
All right. Well, we have a magical topic this evening, and we do want to get into it, but we are going to start with our prayers as usual, to call in that divine spirit to be with us. So we're going to ask everyone to just take a deep breath and relax. We'll give honor to the great mothers today for the Priestess show. Woohoo! Dua. Anatarak suet mut etaim. Dubarin mut in ank. Etaim setet in mut. Eta seset an ank. Etaim hetet in meri. Etaim heteru, etaim mebehet, etaim ma'at in tawi, etaim uja in arit, in shekem, dua ma ab anitu. Honor to the Great Mother, the throne who comes as 10,000 names. Great Mother of life, who comes as stars of heaven, who comes as the mysteries of the tree of life, who comes as peace and love, who comes as the house of light, who comes as the lady of the constellation of houses, who comes as mother on heaven and earth, who comes as the Ajay, the primordial serpent of light, who gives us spiritual power. Thank you, Ma. My heart belongs to you. Dua, dua. And to also give honor to our West African ancestors, we're going to share the Ariki for the primordial mothers as well. Nawam ba Nakami ba Yete. Oh, forgive my pronunciation. Iakere emo ohumio. Iamio Sharanga Bobo Ohun Ti Imbao Niwa. Obo Loni Imeda Bodanda. Iami Osharanga Amo Ohumio. Iami Osharanga Ipa Leoni Ki Amedeba. Iami Osharanga Amo Ohumio. Iami Osharanga Oro Tio Keti Bale Shoni Le Gogandan. Iami Osharanga Emohumio. Iami Osharanga Bobo Ohun Timiba Timiwa Nikom Midase. Iami Osharanga Mi Mo Ohumio Ase. Petite mother, you will know my voice. Iami Osharanga, my mother the sorceress. Every word that I speak, the bold leaf has said that you will understand it absolutely. Iami Osharanga, you will know my voice. Iami Osharanga, the calabash says that you will take it. Iami Osharanga, you will know my voice. Iami Osharanga, the word that the Oketi rat speaks to the earth will hear it absolutely. Iami Osharanga, you will know my voice. Iami Osharanga, everything that I say you will do. Iami Osharanga, you will know my voice. I say, oh, east, south, north, or west, the Great Mother is the foundation. Dua, dua, dua. Honor to the Great Mother. Hey. So, we give thanks for this energy, the energy of the Great Mothers, the energy of the Priestess, the energy of the Divine Feminine. We are thankful for the raising up of that Divine Feminine power. And we actually got to connect with the Divine Feminine over the weekend. We just want to mention a few beautiful things about our trip, our crystal retreat, because we definitely got to connect with the great Mother Earth and nature in so many ways. And it was a beautiful trip. We give thanks for the connections and the lessons and the gifts of the earth. We just have to start off with that because it's definitely still fresh on my mind. And how about you, Marcia?
Oh my goodness. I enjoyed the opportunity, experience, the abundance of nature, the abundance of the earth, just being out under the sun, in the earth. You know, at first I was trying not to get dirty, and then after a while it was like, we digging in the earth. And so then I just dove right on in and just was like, people pay money to get this good type of mud and dirt on them. And so, it was just a real purifying, I would say, purifying experience. And it was just really wonderful to get to understand the nature of the earth and even read the different types of soil and allowing myself to be found by beautiful crystals and gemstones. And it was this beautiful experience, lovely home, beautiful people from all over, and, just having the privilege to commune and serve some beautiful spirits, and, of course, working alongside you and just being by, the waters of Washita Mountain and, the hot springs. It was just a beautiful, purifying, healing experience. I will say that. I could say more, but I think I'm going to stop right there because it was great. It's great.
Yes, it was. And I definitely have to send you some love for stepping it up for us over the weekend.
Thank you, do I. It was an
Had
honor.
us some good food. Had all the elders in there just happy, even the meat eaters. So we did some, and we got to send some love to Ross Ben and to Baba Kwame, who came through to share, and it was amazing because we had someone from Cali, someone from Detroit, from Philly, from New York, Texas. I think every area
Denver.
was represented.
Everywhere. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. I mean, it was beautiful. The Carolinas. To come and share the experience with people who are like-minded but bring something different to the table, and to learn so much from the great wisdom of like Baba Kwame and Ross Ben and yourself, and it was just really amazing, just beautiful elders that just all came together, people who, just was moved by spirit to come and share in this abundant blessing that was this weekend. I don't think we could have planned it better. The divine definitely orchestrated this event, for sure.
It definitely was purely spirit. We give thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And we always have some events coming up. We have our next class is going to be in Philly, and that's going to be next weekend, actually. So if you are interested in our Kinetic Rating Level 1 and 2 in Philly, definitely register now so that we can have enough material for you next weekend. And you can visit us online for our next retreat and other information on events that we have coming up. I also want to bring in one of our guest priestesses to share with us about another event that is coming up that we want to make sure everyone hears about, because it is an outstanding event for those of us who are living in the Kemetic legacy. And even if we're not, if we're interested, this is an event that we want to learn more about. So I'm going to bring you in, Mhara, Hetep. Are you with us?
Hataku, I am with you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you all for having me on tonight. And I'm so glad you all enjoyed your retreat this weekend. It sounds like it was amazing. Amazing experience.
Yes, it was. And we welcome you to come in and share more with us about the Weapon Coat.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, because this year's retreat is going to be really so special and sacred. Last year we had our inaugural event to bring you, Mukajara, and the Raseki Arts Temple into the Sarush Chawi, covenant, and this opportunity to bring the three temples together for the first time. So this year's retreat, we really want to just continue to solidify that commitment and that connection and to grow that. I mean, we're really looking forward to the opportunity to get to know our brothers and sisters from Raseji Healing Arts Temple and celebrating with you guys and, just spending an entire weekend immersed in nature and in meditation and yoga and in reconstructing the ways of our ancestors, because we're all three temples are committed to realizing the practices of this legacy in our own individual way. And we have so many unique talents and gifts that we're bringing to the tradition. And when we come together, it's a completion and a fullness that is really very special and really very sacred. And we want to be able to share with one another and to celebrate with one another and to continue to put our energy together so all of us can grow and all of us can prosper, and we can continue to attract further growth and prosperity and success for us as individuals as well as all of us as a collective. So we're really looking forward to this, and we're really hoping that you all will join us for sure. So those of you who are not familiar with Wefren Put, I'll just say it is the celebration of the Kemetic New Year that is happens every year with the rising of the star Sirius or Spadet. And it is a celebration that our ancestors participated in every year. And part of what we've pushed forward to do is to reconstruct their ways as much as possible. So we've reconstructed that holiday, and we've been celebrating it every year, and really just taking the opportunity to really be African and not just talk about African things. You guys know it's about being African people from the rooter to the tutor. And we want to just make sure that we're recalibrating ourselves to the divine frequencies, that we're staying in tune with nature and with Neter, and that we're inspiring and motivating each other towards Ma'at. So we'll be there Thursday, July 28th to Sunday, July 31st, 4 beautiful days in upstate New York. We have people staying in cabins. We have people staying in tents. We'll be eating delicious vegetarian food all weekend. We'll be doing outdoor meditations. We'll be doing an ionic exchange with the running stream that's on the property. There'll be some hiking going on up and down the mountain. And then, of course, again, there'll be an opportunity for us to get into that African drumming and dancing. Kajar, can I ask you if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your experience from last year?
Oh, I would love to share. I had a beautiful time. I had a beautiful, wonderful time. I felt like I was amongst family. There was so much divine spiritual energy. The environment was beautiful. The people were just, like I said, family. It was like stepping into a different time zone in a different time frame and just being recharged with music, drumming, dancing, singing, prayer, and worship, and it's beautiful. I'm going to be there again, and I encourage everyone who is listening to visit the website at the Temple of Anu and go ahead and register so that you can join us, because this is the kind of experience that we all need. We have to get away from the matrix sometimes and go out into nature and be together and drum and sing and do the things that we as African people do. That's what keeps us sane.
That's our culture. Yeah.
Right. That's right. So this is an opportunity. The Temple of Anu has opened the way for it to happen, to celebrate the new year as our ancient ancestors did, and you should be there. That's what I have to say about it. You should be there.
Wow. I appreciate that. Yeah, so those of you who are interested in more information can go to templeofanu.com. We have a whole page devoted to Front Put, and you can send us emails with questions, or you can use our contact page. There's a phone number there if you would like to call to ask questions. And I know that there will be a flyer that will go around and some emails that will go around to remind people to set aside those days on their calendar and to start making their payments and to start making travel arrangements. Those of you who are in the New York or New Jersey area can happily carpool with us from, the Temple of the New. We're here in Newark. Those of you who may be out near Ohio, I could try to connect you with our brothers and sisters at New Onset Temple and carpool with them. Let's collaborate, let's talk, and let's do what we can to all come together. We'll make Front Put the Comedic family reunion and really just take an opportunity, like I said, to get to know each other better, to share with one another, connect with one another, and really just be one in our community, and continue building this Kemetic nation and continue solidifying our charge to restore the tradition in Sarush Tawi. So dua Moot for letting me share that tonight.
Oh, yes, definitely. We appreciate you joining us for this call. And I know our listeners are waiting for us to move into the topic. So we are going to go ahead and open our lines. We actually have some of my favorite priestesses on the line with us. Peace and love and welcome. Alafia Iya Ipadunke. Can you hear me? All right. I am opening the lines, and welcome to
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
I had to get taking it off. I had to get it off mute, and then I had to put in my code and everything. I was like, Greetings, everyone. Greetings.
Greetings, beautiful mama.
You sounded good and recharged. I know you just coming in from Africa. So,
yes.
And I want to also bring in Iani Fayele. Can you hear us, sis? Welcome. Okay. She might have to unmute her phone. And we also have...
Okay.
Okay, here she is. Alafia. Woo! I'm so excited. We got some energy on the phone tonight. And we also have Wabut Sachet. Raven Hatep, can you hear us?
Hatep, can you hear me?
All right. Beautiful, beautiful.
Hatep.
Hatep, we welcome you as well. And I know we got a lot of energy going on, so we're going to do our best to, we're going to have like a round table discussion because, the priestess, I think we know that we are here, but we don't get the same recognition as the Babalawo or the priest. We kind of sit to the back, but we often do a lot of the work. And so this is just our time to shine, and I wanted to bring you all of us together so that we can just share, some of our energy with the world, and they can have a better understanding of who we are and what we do as priestesses. So we would like to just the question out there, and then we're going to go around in the circle, try to get everyone, just try to answer. We're going to do the best we can because I know we don't have enough time. But just keep in mind that we want to give everyone a chance to answer some of the questions. Okay, sis? All right.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with, give us a definition of a traditional African priestess. And if we could just go by the order that I brought you all in, maybe we could remember that. So that would begin with Himneta Mbara. What is a traditional African priestess for you?
Sure. A traditional African priestess to me is someone who helps others, helps to support others in realizing their highest and best self, and someone who does that through the cultural and spiritual lens of Africa, of an African culture, because there are many different expressions of African culture. So an African priestess is one who uses African culture to help others connect spiritually and culturally to their best self.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. What would you say?
I would say dua to what was presented, and also add to that is that it is someone who has obtained the knowledge and the wisdom of the culture, and that they have accepted, first obtained what their true path is, what gifts that they bring into this realm. They've accepted that, they obtained the training, and that they're living it, and they're being it, and they're also bringing those resources to assist others. So they have their own personal priesthood, and then they have their role in family, and they are in alignment with that, and they also bring those gifts to community. So you must first know who you are, what your role is, accept that, and be about it. Sure.
Let's see.
That's it.
You want to add to that, Ayala?
Yeah, what both of them said.
Right.
If I add to that, I would say that the traditional African priestess is a mother to the community, which means that she offers nurturing and support. She offers counseling, healing tools, depending on their specialty. Counseling, healing tools, teachers, support, master of ceremony, and to support others on their path, both as those who initiate other priestesses and other priests and priesthood, those who train, as well as just to support and empower through counseling, at least a lot of my work, through counseling, through healing, empowering, inspiring, and so on. But also someone who I think, as Ia mentioned, has been trained, has been truly, has been called to the path and has able to actually be an effective force in the tradition and in the community, viewing things not just through the lens of African culture, but through the spirit of Africa at our core.
Okay. Do I say? Robert, do you want to add anything?
Yes. Imatata Mbara, by the way.
Imatata, honey.
Yes, I have to give her special thanks because thanks to her is one of the reasons that I'm a Wabet. So I would add also that, and as a traditional African priestess, it's a marriage. It's a contract that you make with Neter, with the ancestors, to be their voice for the people who may not be tuned in to their forces directly. And so you form a link, like you become, as the sister said, that you become a mother of the community. You become a voice passing the information from that which you're able to hear and which you're able to connect with, and bring that into the community in order to help heal and nurture the community. And I feel that the connection there is just something really strong. It's something really sacred, and it's a life. I mean, it's a beyond life bond. I really feel like this is something that comes with you and goes with you when you leave. Like none of us here. I know all of you here, because I could feel it. You've all been priestesses before this, and you will continue to be priestesses after. So it's like this is just a link, a passing through, and a contract of who you are, who you are as in service to others. So, absolutely.
I say. Ooh, I agree with everything, of course, and definitely with that that last piece, that this is a soul incarnation that is repeated through each lifetime to work with the spirit world. I feel that very strongly as well. And my sister Sunu, Aura, did you want to add anything?
To add to so many great answers. Okay. A priestess. Yeah, she's definitely a traditional African priestess. Definitely has a role in the community. One who listens and responds accordingly. It's like a conduit of spirit in the community or wherever she may be at the time. A teacher, a keeper of knowledge and information, culture, spirit, a protocol, one who prays on behalf of not just herself, but, all those that she comes in contact with and intercedes on their behalf as well. Wow. I guess one who nurtures spirit. It's a lot of things, but honestly, really, I mean, just being a priestess is a calling. You have to answer it, and unashamed, unapologetic, just standing forward, and standing and going where spirit directs, saying what spirit directs. So many things, and I'm honored to be around so many beautiful priestesses at this time. I feel your spirit and your energy, and it is definitely an honor. I feel like a baby in the group, but it's definitely a beautiful, beautiful thing. So it's not much really I can add to what has already been said.
That is true. There is not much to add. So much wisdom being shared. We give thanks. And I would just add, a priestess, of course, is one who is of service and makes the sacrifice. So it's about, a lot of sacrifice being a priestess, as well as rewards and power and, gifts of the spirit in the spirit world. And so it's a blessing. It's a blessing and a blessing. And definitely a lifestyle. I don't think you just wake up and become one. You are a priestess. It's just coming into your priesthood, which leads us to the next question. What does it take to become a priestess, would you say?
So I agree with, some of you who have said that priesthood and priestesshood is a calling and you have to answer. And I think that, many of us, many people out there have that calling, and some just don't feel that they're ready. Some don't feel confident. Some don't know that they're being called. Some don't know how to answer. There are people out there who don't have the guidance to be able to answer that call. There are people out there who answer that call arrogantly too. And so, of course, it has to be tempered and with balance and wisdom. But I don't think it's something that someone can tell you that I don't think someone can tell you to be a priestess, or you can just decide in your head, I feel like being a priestess. I think that it is a relationship with spirit, and I think that it is a part of your divine purpose, and that's something that is set in you and for you when you choose to incarnate in this world, in this plane, in this time, in this place, and in this way. And it's a matter of you living yourself into who it is that you were already meant to be. And, yeah. And you just have to decide to do that.
I've got a twofold, perspective in how I've viewed it and how it's evolved over the years. And, I've been in the tradition, and I've been in a number of traditions, starting with the Kemetic tradition, which was my foundation and my foundational training, and it kind of morphed over time into Vedic and into now traditional Ifa, Orisha tradition, and so on. And what I found is that, there's several different types of priestesses. There are priestesses of yourself, which is focused on your own personal evolution, and then there's priestesses of the community in a broader sense. And I always thought that I was always doing the work and had been doing the work, and I had been. But I found that there's also different layers to how it is called, how you're called. So 20 years, maybe 25 years ago, I was called, during a reading. It said, hey, you need to initiate. It wasn't the first time I'd heard that, but it was more prevalent. And I completely ignored it, at least in that particular tradition. It was the Orisha tradition at the time. And I wasn't feeling it. And, I continued to do my work. I continued to do the work that I felt that I was called to do, but I did not want to do it within the confines of that particular tradition for a whole bunch of reasons. But fast forward 20 years later, I began having dreams through my invoking, Anu and so forth. And I began to have dreams that were calling for a huge transformation about to happen, and asked specifically through one of those visits, if I would initiate and undergo this particular process. So I agreed, not knowing what that meant. And a couple of months later, I woke up and couldn't walk. And I mean literally couldn't walk. I crawled to the bathroom, crying because it was so painful, had back pain and so on. Crawled back in bed, hoped and prayed that it would go away. By morning, it had not gone away. I ended up in the hospital for maybe a week or so, and they could not find anything wrong. I just knew I was in excruciating pain, could not walk at all. But during that process, I had a dream that I was in front of a Babalawo, and he had a stack of E5 books, and he had his divination tools and so on, and he said, I got some sacred technology that I need to share with you, and so on. I had never met him, didn't know him, so I just kind of reflected while I was, in the hospital. A day or two later, I saw him online. I saw his picture, the same face of the person, and they said, hey, I had a dream about you, and, and I'm in the hospital, told him my situation. He did the reading for me, and, to find out, what the connection and what the message was and so on. And so it turned out that he said, well, you're called to be in the Anifa, and you are called to be a healer, in the tradition and so on. And I felt like I'm already doing this to some degree, just not there. But he said, no, you're being called specifically, and you're not going to walk until you do, until you're able to, fully accept that. So I recognized at that moment this was a sacred moment that I had read about in many of those books, and yet I had never fully grasped because I felt like I voluntarily went that process. But as it would happen, I agreed, and I consciously agreed with my ancestors and with spirit, and, within days, every single thing that needed to happen in order to get me to him, to Miami, and so on and so forth, it happened. I mean, the money just came out of nowhere. someone came to and said, hey, you gave me a reading a couple years ago. Do you happen to need a ticket? It's free, a buddy pass. And do you happen to need this? Or, people called out of nowhere. And I knew it was spirit. So it was totally facilitated. A month later, I was there, had begun the process. And after coming back, a week after coming back, I was able to walk again. And it was just that transformative in that regard in terms of, there was a clear distinction on what I had chose to do and what I really had been called to do at that moment. It was definitely life-changing because it forced me to rethink everything, to readdress how things went, how I addressed it, and so forth. And it was a powerful, powerful transformation that I can only explain through that experience. It was not something that I planned on. I had never planned on that particular tradition and this, being immersed in this particular tradition. So something that, I had to take stock in, and what I found asking those questions to my ancestors was, I don't understand why this, why wasn't what I was doing enough, and so on. And they said there was work that you had to do within this particular place and that you had agreed to it. But not only that, this is your 7th lifetime doing this. And being in this tradition, this is, this represents you. So it was a full circle, kind of embrace. But that's how my calling at least happened, both unofficially as well as officially.
Okay. It's serious like that sometimes. I'm sure that's not the only story.
So in the Yoruba tradition, we are taught that as spirit in heaven, when it becomes your time to come up to take a body and come down into this realm, you go for divination. You are expected to do an ebo. You're expected to take an ebo to a certain place and take all those ingredients and place it in the right place. And then you go to the house of Obatala and you select your Ori. And during that process, we make agreements. We make agreements with our Egbe. We make agreements in what we will do, how we will fulfill it, those assignments. And also, you will connect with your ancestors and be given specific assignments. So, and as we come into this realm, of course, we pick our parents and we come into this realm. Along the way, we forget the assignment. We forget the agreements. And we may come into a modern world. We may come into a rural area. I can only imagine during the time that our people served as prisoners of war in early Americas. I can only imagine how you came with certain gifts, and the environment was not conducive to that. But spirit, but we don't come here alone. We come here with spirit guides. We come here that little markers to help us along the way. So I'm making this distinction because there are some who come into the right families who carry on the tradition and they bring it forward. And when they're born, all the necessary readings are done, and it's called an Esentaye, and it tells you what the taboos are for the spirit that comes and what their gifts are. And then along the way, community helps to guide that along. There are some of us who came, in my case, to Chicago, Illinois, to an entirely Christian family on both sides. But I came at 7 months. Okay? Not 9 months. So I spent a little time at Cook County Hospital. I came with certain marks on my body. I came with the cord wrapped around my neck. I came with the gifts of Egungun. Okay? I also came bearing dreams and other things. So as I go back and I reflect, what I brought to this life, I'm saying that rather we get initiated or not, rather we go through those ceremonial things, the priestess is there. It's born. It's born. And in my family, I came to stop the early deaths of the females. Okay? So, the shifting and everything takes place. So, it's not to discourage those who maybe don't have the resources or things just don't line up just right to go. It's practicing what it is and what you're able to do at this time. It's like tuning into that. We have a brother who he could hear his grandmother who mixed herbs. So he did what he could do, whatever. Then once he was able to get to do this formal initiation, this information came forward. I just completed my family's anniversary, the anniversary of our Orishas. They're taken back there, they're cleansed, they're reactivated, they're washed in herbs, chanted upon, prayed upon, and all of that. And then afterwards, 3 days later, there's divination. So what is so surprising, this time there was a message for my granddaughter. The message was she was the next, the generation, she was the next healer in our family. She must study medicine. She must study healing work. It was just, and I sat there and I looked across at Mutemi. Okay. So it's amazing to have those resources and not kind of wander around and know. And I started much later in life, at age 60, but I'm able to open the doors for my children, for my grandchildren, and then once I did get started, then I hit the ground running into helping to do more of that work. So how you become a traditional priestess is that anointing, that crowning, obtaining the ashe of that Orisha or of that deity or of that guardian or guiding spirit. And it's anywhere from 3 days to 7 days, and in traditional Shango goes even longer than that. So it is that community that comes together during the rebirthing, of that, of that priesthood. You're washed in herbs. You're prayed upon. You're chanted upon. And many times you, the ashe of that Orisha comes and sits with you, and it is the time when even all the Babalaos and the other priests, that they must go down to the ground to salute you. It is a very powerful time. And when you make all your elbows, and then you're being introduced to community as the new Awo, it is a very powerful time where you dream, where you work with them, where they're along the way. You're given your assignment, and you see yourself that you're able to do this. So that's all I wanted to add.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Dua. Anybody else want to add to that? How do you? Ooh. Just those thoughts and memories you brought up with that one, yeah. Thanks. It's a beautiful journey, I must say, and going through that traditional process, like the description that she gave, the washing and being prayed over, and it is it's definitely life-changing, empowering.
Yes.
So, yes, go ahead and add on.
Yes. I'd like to share a bit about, I'm not sure where I am in the circle, whether I'm in turn.
You are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to just share with the journey of become initiated as a Wabet. And Bar, I haven't actually shared some of this with you. I've spoken about it before, but it was a really interesting journey of the sister who said about the journey of priesthood being part of your internal work, and then also being something community work. That's a really important point that I think most people see priesthood either as one or as the other, and not necessarily in layers like that. So that was a really excellent point that you made. But in my really early years of being in the priesthood, it was a very personal journey because I speak with spirits, I hear them. I have a powerful connection to the other side, so that was something that I took for granted since I was a child. I've been, when people would pass or at a funeral or something, then the person who passed would come and talk to me and ask me to pass messages to the family because they were grieving and they couldn't hear or something. So my initial connection with priesthood was just something very specifically about your own personal connection with Netter, and it didn't become a function of service as a community for me until later. And then at the point at which I was really devoted to giving, my healing practices and things that I had learned in a communal sense, then I went through my initiation as a Wabet, and I expected it to really expand on my service to the community and really strengthen that and kind of pull my focus fully outward and kind of solidify that focus outward. And I think it's really interesting because even though as we all know, we get called to be priestesses and the contract is written before you get here and you know that that's what you're going to be, you don't know how it's going to manifest. And for me it was like this huge jolt right back into all this inner work. Wabet is a purification priestess, so I thought, okay, so I'm gonna be devoted to the temple and cleaning the temple, and this is my work, and it became such at times almost overwhelming. No, I'm not. Let me stop. It's not almost overwhelming. At times, fully overwhelming process of inner purification. Let me not even try to lie. Sometimes brutal. I made a devoted marriage contract to totally purify all the aspects of my spirit that needed cleansing. And it has been a really, really brutal process going through it, and it's a lifelong marriage. So there are moments when I feel like I'm cleansed and it's good, and I can come up for air now. And they're like, no, we're not done with you. No, look over here in this corner. More work to do. And then there's something else, and it just is like this steady process. And for a long time, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. I'm not, I'm supposed to be turning outward. I'm not serving everybody. What's going on? I'm just falling. I feel like I'm falling into my own self. And it over time, because it's been some years now, and I finally started to recognize and make peace with the fact that I actually am going through a purification process that is really going to last, my entire life and beyond. And then in the process of my own cleansing, as I clean out these particles, as I go into these rooms, as I look into the parts of my soul that needed work and the parts of my spirit that needed healing, that has been my service to the community by pulling out parts of me and sharing them outward and saying well, wow, I went through this and this is what I felt and this happened to me this time and this is what I did when I went through that. That cleansing process and being able to articulate it to others other people have been able to connect with the healing journey, and and also find some level of healing. And then, of course, as a priestess, so I am still, it's still a process of devotion to making sure that whatever I go through in my own personal journey somehow serves others. So it's still always, it is those two layers. But it was just a funny process for me because I had completely thought it would flip around the other way. That I was just, forget about me, and I'm done now, and I'm good, and I'm 100% on service. And it just became this this like battle where sometimes I was like, no, it was almost drowning at times, and so it's been a really, really interesting process for me as I go through it to really learn what African initiation, how powerful and life-changing and transformative that it really is, and what strength of character that you have to have. We were speaking about the, what it is that makes you get called to be a priestess, but there's clearly a powerful strength of character that's required to even consider taking on work like this. And you have to be flexible as well. Like, you really don't know what it's going to bring you to. Just like I said, I always call it marriage now. This is my marriage. And you don't know where it's going to take you. You have no idea where it's going to lead you. You just know what the function of it is, but you don't know in which ways those are going to manifest until you're actually living them out and carrying them out. So it's been an incredible journey for me, and I've really actually learned a lot about the priesthood itself, about being a priestess, and about what it is and who I am and how I can serve. So, yeah, incredible.
Wonderful.
Okay. Did everybody share on that who wanted to share? All right. I would just have to give my sister amen to the work. I would say dealing with the African deities, the Orishas, the Abasum, and the Neter, they're going to hold you accountable.
Indeed.
They're going to test you. If you say that you are going to be a priestess, you're going to be tested in different ways in the beginning, especially. And then I feel like it does get to a balancing out place. Me, I'm working with Neter, Orishas, Abasum. I deal with Lua. I deal with, many goddesses. And I can just say, somebody said overwhelming once. And I remember being initiated to, I was already working with the Neteru very strongly. Then I was initiated as a Shango priestess. And, that led me to those prayers and the offerings and working with many Orishas. And I, at one time, was working with like 11, I had maybe 11 altars in one house. I think I went through that for maybe 6 months, maybe, till I realized, I was going to have to balance it out a little bit more because it was really, really, it was taking a energy and time. And, I'm very happy to be in the spirit world, so I'm just going from one altar to the next, la, 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 la. You have to come back to life, to reality, and so it is that balancing act that I had to learn personally. That was part of my lessons, not to take on too much, and to see that energy we have it all within us, and it's just a matter of connecting with that part that we really, really, have, those gifts, that aspect of us that we are. So for us, doing healing work is segment, but also other goddesses that work with healing, and learning how to work with them. And I think it's going into a different question, really. But that is a part of the process, and I would say that it's a process. It's not something that you're going to learn in a weekend or a few days. You know, generally you go through at least a year or two to just devote yourself to learning how to work with those spirits that you have married yourself to, you know.
It's true. I think there's a lot of work that has to be done prior to, or that should be done, internal work, that should be done prior to doing that. You got to know yourself first. You got to clear out as much roughage within yourself first before you begin to engage with forces of nature, because they are always there with you, but it's a matter of how you are able to manifest them, bring them through in a balanced and coherent way, and maintain your sanity in the process. That's a real. I mean, I have to keep it real. That's a real piece. And that it's important to do that internal work first, and so on. And I kind of laugh at people in some ways. The work that I did early on as 18, 19, 20, and a lot of that was in the Commission tradition. It was in a lot of intense internal work. And it prepared me for the things that I would do later on. I unequivocally give thanks for that, because it was there. I learned how to meditate. I learned how to go inside myself. I learned how to divine initially. I learned how to do a whole bunch of things prior to the work that I am doing now. And it enhances it tremendously. It at least allows me to know I'm not losing my mind. I know I'm just going through a process, you know, take the wheel. and so on. So it just, it becomes a part of the foundation of the work that has to be done. But I mean, it can be overwhelming, and by itself, even when you have a whole lot of background and training. But internal work is essential to me prior to fully engaging in that way.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of our questions. What changes did you make, or did you have to make when you became a priestess? Let's talk about that.
What changes?
Well, when I became a priestess, I didn't actually think that I was ready. I got a call from my teacher, who is the chief and head priest of the Temple of Anu. It was like I was at work. It was like a summer day when I was at work, and he calls and he says, this summer I need you to do a fast and a cleanse. It's going to be very deep. It's going to be very intense, because in a few months you'll be initiated. So this summer you will be preparing for that. And I hung up from talking to him, and I turned off my phone, and I didn't speak to anyone for like 6 hours, because I was having like an internal conflict. I didn't think that I was ready. I didn't think that I had earned the right to be a priestess. And so I had to really grapple with what that meant and why I felt like I wasn't there. And I also had to acknowledge the fact that the ancestors thought I was there, and the Neteru thought I was there, because the reading was done and the word had come from the mouth of the Most High. So obviously I was ready, but why couldn't I see I was ready? So I had to just take stock of that and really acknowledge the work that I had done and had been doing, and not just the work for myself and on myself, but the work for others and in my community, and really allow myself to be confident enough to get that pat on the back from the Neteru that said, good job, you deserve this, you've earned this, you're ready for this, you have what it takes. And I was also really grateful that I didn't think I was ready, because it reminded me to stay really humble at the same time, and to really always remind myself, like, this is a charge, this is a responsibility, this is an honor, this is a burden and a gift. And this is something that I cannot carry lightly. I'll never carry lightly. And I think that I, on some level, spend every day reminding myself that I deserve to be a priestess, and making sure that the work that I do demonstrates that for myself, not so much for others. I thankfully feel like the people in the Temple of the New love and respect me, and I hope this doesn't sound the wrong way, but I definitely feel like my community supports me, and they have my back, and they believe in me greatly. And so for me, it was just about making sure that my practice was tight, making sure that when people came to me for advice, that I was always guiding them in the right way, making sure that I was in the place to be able to confidently represent the Neteru to the best of my ability, and always reattuning myself to that every single day, making sure that I'm always on that frequency, on that path, and doing that every day. So there were a lot of things I was already doing. I was already doing altar work. I was already doing meditation. I was already doing yoga. I was already doing prayers and worship and du'a'u and et cetera. And I just chose to continue to do those things, and chose to push myself even further in those things, and challenge myself to investigate myself and to strengthen myself in a way that maybe I wouldn't have if it weren't for this charge. I just allowed myself to be pushed by the Neteru, and there were other things that I chose to let go of in order to embrace this, in order to take on this responsibility. Yeah.
I sure you do.
Just keep it flowing. Someone else get ahead.
Is any?
I think that, to add to what she said, one of the things that she brought up was responsibility. And I found for me that it is no longer about just what I want to do. When I feel like doing it, how I feel like doing it. There is absolute accountability and responsibility, at least in my world, that must be addressed. And when neglect sets in, they let you know. There is a certain discipline. That I had to agree to on another whole level. The discipline and responsibility to the shrine itself. The discipline and responsibility to training. The training, in all of my years and in all of my oracles and in all of my I can't tell you how many oracles I'm trained in, but I have to say that the discipline in learning the oracle of Ifa has been the most intense and the most challenging discipline I've ever had to embark upon. The discipline in having to do those things, and really be good, because it wasn't enough. The one thing, it wasn't enough for me to just have a title. I want to be able to do the work. I want to be able to do the work effectively, so I need to be trained to do the work. So it meant unlearning everything, or at least suspending everything I thought I knew, everything that I'd been trained in and other things and other traditions and other cultures and so on, and fully taking the time, taking some years to really embrace just what I'm doing here. in order to really understand and master it, and so forth. And that was a big change for me, because I was very much, and I'm still a free spirit, and I just roll. But now I understand that there's this thing called destiny, and what my agreements were, and making sure that my choices are in alignment with my agreements. As the said earlier, that I came here with. What are the agreements? What path is this? Is this person in alignment with my destiny? Are these choices in alignment with my destiny? Because just because I want to do them doesn't mean that they're in alignment with the agreements that I've set. And with the rest of my soul, the other thing that has happened, however, is a more direct alignment with my Ori, with my divine self in the process of that. And I'm more conscious of it, more aware of it, and what it is, what it calls me to do, and how it causes me to function, and what my responsibilities are. So those are things, at least the greatest change is just that daily discipline, the daily grind of learning, of undergoing real intense training in a way that I had never, ever undergone before. And that was a real piece, getting used to certain things happening when I went through the IAMI, the Ajay process, getting used to, seriously, birds coming in your room and just kind of sitting on your head and having a conversation. It takes some getting used to. and the real mystical situation. That's it wasn't something that was fully easy, because up until that point I felt like I had a sense of control, and what I had to learn was a sense of surrender, and surrendering to the whole process, surrendering to what was happening and what I needed. And it was counterintuitive, because of we're taught, particularly in the West, to just do what we fully want to do all the time. But then we figure out, we do what we want to do, we don't make the choices, we make whatever choices, and then things don't work out, and we feel stuck, and we can't figure out what's going on or what's wrong and what's on. So, well, you're not making choices in alignment with what you agreed to, and that's why you keep finding these blocks. So, understanding that there's a process, it's called surrender, and that was hard. That meant giving up control, but trusting the process and finding your way, and finding that it probably, it was for your highest and best good, and that by doing that, it also was able to empower others as well.
Mm. Well, the changes for me that I know I'm not in turn. Just I'm trying to keep the flow going. I'm so sorry. Who am I in front of? But for the changes, I guess, that were really obvious for me was really how I utilized my time and energy and resources. Everything was redirected. I guess to piggyback, it wasn't about what I wanted or felt like doing. It was now submitting to the will of Spirit, submitting to the will of Nectar, submitting to the will of the Most High, being woke up early morning, and just kind of, just almost very similar to the feeling of being a child and mama waking you up, and I don't want to wake up, that feeling, and you getting up anyway, and
it all.
And either just spending hours, with Spirit, praying,
Sometimes I'm wanting to go to bed and can't go to bed because Spirit's like, no, you have to redo this altar. You're going to have to shift all of this. And, not really going out, spending more time with myself and, hearing about all the, things that my friends and my crew was doing. And I have to see y'all later. And, really focusing on intensifying and refining my gifts, saying yes a whole lot more to Spirit and saying yes to things that didn't quite fit into my own logic, but still knowing in my heart and my spirit that I'm doing the right thing and trusting that I'm being led in the right direction, and later seeing the rewards of the sacrifice and the act and move of trust. A lot of studying, a lot of cultivation, a lot of divination, a lot of sitting at the feet of my sisters, a lot of open doors. There was a lot of changes. And that self-work is very key. That constant, seeing things that need to be refined, and learning to master myself, my own energy, learning to explore aspects of my own spirit, and and even doing. Already having set up myself to do healing work, but to do it on a higher level and to just kind of watch from the inside, but it's like I'm outside and just being in awe. And it's just so many wonderful things that have occurred. It can be overwhelming. There are times where, I'm questioning, can I do it? I remember finding out certain protocol and things that were expected during the time period, and I remember, this isn't necessarily what I want to do, but then Spirit was still over a year of even considering the whole process. And, I don't even have to go this far. I really don't have to. And the whole time, Spirit is directing me to prepare myself, and I'm just gathering all the materials. It's just kind of opens up that way. So I'm grateful for the many blessings, the many challenges, the lessons. It's a process that I definitely am grateful to have gone through, probably will go through again, and knowing that, initiation is just that. It's just the beginning. And that is, and it is a lifestyle. It is a life of service to others, and it's definitely something that keeps my nature in check and raises the vibration. So where Spirit and my divine self is definitely merged into oneness. So that marriage is real. It very much so is. And that's what I'll add to that for now.
For me, my journey, I would say, was actually going into the process, not necessarily with an egotistical sense of being there, of being ready, but because of my experiences connecting to the other side and speaking with Spirit and just kind of having this natural ability to tune in, I felt that taking initiation, becoming a priestess, was going to add to the journey that I had already taken initiation that I had before, and of my connection with the things that I was already doing. So I felt really ready, and I was really excited to be called, and really honored to be called to do the work. And I had it's still such a crazy process for me, because I'm still, of course it's a marriage, you're always going through it. But at the time when I went through initiation, I remember feeling really like, wow, okay, great, I'm going to shine, I'm going to just, show everybody, and I am so excited to just get in here and just be selfless and do all the work and just do it. And I was not prepared at all for, as we say, because there's the balance between the spirit work that you do, and then balancing your life work, and like you said with your 11 altars there. I feel you. Yes, between because in the same I have even at the moment I have I serve Wajet, I serve Sashat, and I serve Offset, and I have those three, and to move between, and so going through the process, and I think I felt more. I felt ready for what I thought it was going to be like, and it turned out to be something so much deeper than what I had been ready for. Because what it did for me was, because at the first, so I thought, well, I'm here, I've got this, I'm ready, I'm excited, I'm ready to go to the next level. And what it actually did was like take me back to the beginning again, through a different channel. So my movement through spirit has always been this kind of butterfly dance, where I'm like, a little bit over here and a little bit over there, and today spirit calls me this way, and I move that way, and I touch everywhere and go everywhere, and I just, like they say, move as spirit moves you. So there wasn't really any sense of discipline to my spiritual work, and I didn't recognize that until my initiation, until getting to that point of being able to actually fully tune in, and the full accountability to making sure that a certain standard in every area that I had given myself to was met every day and at all times, suddenly became, instead of being this butterfly dance, like, yeah, I'll get to it when I feel like it. It feels great. I love this. This is me. And it all of a sudden became this like, oh my gosh, did I forget to, it's like, did I leave the kettle on, kind of, and I would, and as the sister said, when you leave somebody unattended, they will let you know. They will make sure that they get their place, because you have devoted yourself. And if you should fall short on your word even a little bit, they will let you know and hold you extremely accountable. And there's just and of course, we know the level of accountability once you marry yourself to these guardians, deities, ancestors, to everyone, to Neter. You have to fully be accountable to a point where before that you may not be used to. So before, you may be a little pop on the wrist when things don't go the way they're supposed to. But suddenly you'll find yourself, getting mashed. You just getting blindsided by things where you're like, wait, what happened to the pop on the wrist? And so there's an entirely new level that you have to be prepared for, to handle. And so it really, really kind of made me step back, like, okay, well, where I need to create a system and a method and develop a pattern in which I do all my work to make sure that everybody is given and everybody is accounted for. And just having to back up, it was an extremely, extremely humbling experience. And I wouldn't in general, I didn't enter the process thinking like, oh, I got this, I'm awesome, I'm great. But it was like so humbling to just get in and see that connecting with spirit is still always, we all of our African processes, there's always a duality. And I had mastered one side of the duality by being able to connect, like, I can connect at will, I can astral project, I can do all that. So yeah, I'm good on that, and feeling like, well, I'm there, this is spiritual, and I can be a spirit if I want, and thinking that was it. And then the other side of the duality, which I had not really taken, I could kind of like see it and hear it off in the distance, like, oh, spiritual discipline, yeah, that's probably all right, and getting into that aspect that blindsided me. So I really had to back up all the way down, and so it was extremely humbling to tumble from the 10th floor down to the bottom of the elevator shaft and pick up little pieces of my broken self and be like, okay, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And try to figure a way. And you don't take the elevator the second time; you take the stairs because you have been initiated, and you will go step by step and feel every single piece of the process, every movement of the process. Oh yes, go ahead.
I just have to laugh with you because I guess I remember and understand, exactly what you are saying. The level of accountability is much higher when you are working with higher spirits. And that discipline is very important. We are very responsible for what we know and what we have learned and for the power that we have. And that is another thing that I think most people don't really understand, the fact that we marry ourselves to spirit, which means that we are carrying that higher force with us. And I've had some experiences where I have to tell people, I can't even go there with you like that because I'm carrying these forces, and if they come after you, it's not going to be nice, and I don't even want to do that to you. But you need to understand, who I am. Don't just, play the priestess like we don't have any power, because with that discipline and that responsibility, everything that we put in, it comes with a lot. It comes with a lot of energy and a lot of gifts. And I just wanted to say that time that I was keeping those 11, working with those 11 deities, that I was taking magic carpet rides like every night, going through, seeing things from past lifetimes and from my children's lifetimes. And, it was out of that energy that Raseki was born, all of those prayers and the energy that I gave to the spirit world. In return, they gifted me greatly. So that, too, needs to be said as well. And we did have a question that came up in the chat room. Someone wanted to know, how do we deal with people who want to drain our energy? If anyone answer, go ahead.
You got to establish your boundaries. You have to, I found it's been necessary to assess personality, also psychosis, because there are certain people who are draining and who they consciously or unconsciously they want to drain you and so on. I'm very big on creating boundaries, boundaries to my home, boundaries to access to me. And so on. You got to create that sacred space for things to happen. Like if I have an event in my house, because you know where I live doesn't mean you get to just drop by when you feel like it, because you got something going on. I won't answer. I literally won't answer. I wasn't expecting you. But it's the way that I have to keep my own space sacred for me. And for me to have those boundaries. You didn't have an appointment. You need to set up an appointment. When people contact me, I don't necessarily immediately answer the phone. It's filtered usually through a message, a text message, or something before I respond, because I need to know what I'm walking into. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of needs, but at the same time, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I take care of my grandmother, I take care of my grandchildren. There's a lot of other things that are going on, and you have to have a balance of boundaries in that process. You've got to also be clear psychically on how to, when you start off, you're kind of an empath, and you have to be able to distinguish your stuff from their stuff. in order for you to truly be effective. If you're not able to do that yet, you'll create problems for yourself because you'll think that their stuff is your stuff, and you'll take it on. You'll take on this, you'll take on that, and it'll make you sick, and it'll, drag you down, and then you'll be half crazy, and then you're not able to help other people. So it's real important to be able to establish those boundaries in such a way that it keeps you safe and able to do the work that you need to do, and it keeps things in perspective. But that's my 2 cents.
Tua, I would add to that, that you have to continue doing your work because, you just have to constantly make sure that you're clearing yourself and your auric field every day. You have to make sure that you're constantly recharging yourself and that you are making sure to stay on your own center and to stay balanced. So, you have your counseling sessions per day. You need, again, know your boundaries, like the sister was saying, know how many sessions a day you can reasonably do before you get drained, before you start to feel, crazy. And then when you hit your limit, you take your bath, you go do your recharging work for yourself, making sure you start your day with your prayers and your meditation and your rituals to protect yourself, making sure you're doing your yoga work and your spiritual rituals and ceremonies to seal your aura, to not take on other people's things, to do your protection rites and rituals all the time and keep your crystals on you and things like that. So we just, we have to be mindful of that at all times, being available to the community, but also being available for ourselves and making sure that we're being available to ourselves in balance with what we're giving out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, very true.
I think what I'd like to add to that is, I shade to what was said before, but I think that we do provide that bridge for a community or an individual so that they are healed or they get on the path of healing and improving and nurturing. So in doing so, you do set those limits.
Mm.
Okay. Well, we give thanks. And we do have a caller who wanted to join in. Peace and love and welcome to our caller. I think it's Goddess Opulence.
It is. Hotepu, peace and love, and what a wonderful collection of energy you all have brought forth in this moment in time. I was saying it's a pleasure to be in the midst of this vibration. And you all triggered memories, remembering in me of my journey on the path of priestesshood that I had totally forgotten about, not really even made the connection to. And each one of you, I see the light coming from you, emanating from your first eye. I feel the love coming from each one of you, and the power and the glory. And I am in the midst of a magnificent healing from each one of you, and I am grateful.
Wow.
Thank you.
Still on that, sir. Still on that, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Right?
Oh, my pleasure, my honor.
And I guess we will have, I was going to say one more, but it might be more than one. If you all would just share a little bit about yourselves, tell us how long you have been a priestess, if you would like. If you have a website or other information for our listeners to get in touch with you, go ahead and share that as well. Let's go ahead and go around the circle once more, Dua.
So I am Hemet Neter Envarama. I am the High Priestess at the Temple of Anu. I've been a priestess since 2009. I started off as Wabet in the Kemetic tradition. As we practice it in the Temple of Anu, the Wabet is the first level of priesthood, Wab for men or Wabet for women. And the Wabet priesthood focuses on maintaining sacred space and understanding how to cultivate sacred space both within the self as well as within your immediate environment, in your community, your family, your home, and helping others to be able to cultivate the same. A few years ago, I was elevated to the position of Hemet Neter as the High Priestess of the Temple. And how can people get in touch with me? They can get in touch with me through the Temple of Anu website, which I spoke about earlier, templeofanu.com. They can also get in touch with me through the website for my novel, hiddenbymoonlight.com. My novel is the story of Nebuchadnezzar. Most people know it as the story of Asar, Aset, and Haru, and it is a retelling of that story, of that epic Kemetic saga through the eyes and the voice and the perspective of Nebuchadnezzar. So please do get in touch with me. Suan answers.
Okay, Dua. Okay, I made my first journey to Nigeria in 2005 to become initiated into Orumila Ifa, to become an Iyan Ifa. All right, let's see. And then 2009 into Egungun. All right. And then I connected with Raseki in 2013 to add that healing piece to my practice. Let me see. What's the other part of the question? What am I answering? Okay, so I live in California. So I let's see. What do? I do readings, rituals, ebos, energy work. I think I answered everything. And so happy to have been a part of this discussion today, this energy exchange. I've had the pleasure of accompanying a couple of sisters to Nigeria for their initiation. Part of my goal is to build that body of wisdom and knowledge of the tradition on this continent by assisting others to fulfill their journey and ongoing for training. And I think as we build that body of knowledge, we are empowering our communities. So that's a bit of my work, my shame.
How can we get in touch with you, Iya? If we want to get in touch with you, you have a website.
All right. You know what? I do not have a website. It's something that I need to work on because it would be a bit of quite of an interesting collage of what it is that I do. But how you can reach me, my phone number is 510-682-3333. Okay.
And that's the Bay Area.
Yes, that's the Bay Area.
Sure.
My website is ayelekumari.com, AYELEKUMARI. My background is as a healer. My priestess started off, as I said, in the Commission tradition, in a Seers set about 25 years ago. So I've become very familiar with that piece, as well as kind of morphing into the pre-Vedic traditions of the Mahavidyas, the goddesses, the great mothers, and the Vedic tradition, and that morphing into Ifa. So I am initiated as a Nianifa, and also into the mysteries of Oya and Obatala, Oshona Yemoya, and Osanyin. I am now officially training as an Oni Shegun, which is a traditional healer. As well, I offer divination. I also have a little bit of the training in the Yakan tradition, and so I do a couple of different divination systems. I do Dafa, but I also do bone divination as well, another one of my ancestral paths, and so forth, as well as work with Iyami, the great mothers in the African tradition, the primordial mothers, and so forth. I am a counselor. I have a degree in counseling, and I've also specialized in mental health, mental, i.e. spiritual health, as well as physical health, and so forth. So, and, women's mysteries. A side note is the Commission tradition. I'm also a priestess of Sekhmet that kind of came through as well. So, as I said, I can be reached at Ayele Kumari, AYELEKUMARI.com. I'm also the author of 3 books. One is called Spirit Rising. The other is called Magical Kababash, in which Nia is there as well as a number of other authors. And the last one is Ian Nifa, Women of Wisdom, and all of which can be found on Amazon. Or they can be found through my website. My number is 314-827-HEAL, as in heal your body, which is 4325.
You want to share? I think it's some more people. Come on now, sisters.
I am Wabet Raven Shishat Sataru, and I've been a priestess, I guess since 1999. I was initiated into the Temple of Isis while I was living in London, and I'm also a Wabet priestess at the Temple of Anu. And I am the servant of three Neterts, Sashat. So I do writing work. I write books, and I've been doing web design, journalism, editing, and things like that through my function as her servant. And currently, I'm still working on writing all of the volumes, but I developed a system of yoga called Wajet Yoga, which is it's a warrior type of yoga. It's like a powerful fire element-based yoga, which is based on the ancient, the Kemetic tradition of the work that kings had to do in order to basically to pass their own initiation into kinghood, into kingship, and just in the sense of the work that we have to do as a community and as a people, the elements that we need to kind of give us that strength and power to go forward. I really found that we work as a community doing a lot of work healing and a lot of work. We work a lot with earth element, a lot with the water element, and cleansing and purifying and healing. But as a Wabet priestess, my element is fire, so I purify by the element of fire through her, through the gifts that she's provided me to bring. And so a lot of the yoga is very powerful, extremely transformative, and very definitely difficult, but very, very much so worth the effort. And I am available on the Wajet Ankh Yoga page on Facebook, and also at 321-240-8575. And so people do like to reach out to me to ask questions about yoga and just about healing and fire element energy in general. And so I'm available with boundaries at almost any time, at any kind of, normal communal sense of time, for any kind of questions and things like that. So, dua.
So I am the keeper of the Goddess Temple Palace, and you can find that right here on Blog Talk. If you put my name in, Queen Mother Goddess Opulence, Ra, enter, NTR. I am the one who works with the children. That has been my path since I've been on the path. So all of you mothers and grandmothers, I am the one to bring your children to learn the arts and crafts on many different arenas, from song and dance to inner work and magical work and self-awareness. I'm a devotee of the intellect, the goddesses, through Inta. As I was listening to you all, I was remembering that back in the day I had met a Benin high priest who invited me to Nigeria to study with him. I chose the path of Kemet, and I stayed with a brother carrying the name of Ra. I was already a Ra then. And you can find me on Facebook under Opulence, OPULENCE, Ra, R-A, enter. You can also find me on the Rasheki practitioner page. I so enjoy invoking the symbols from the temple. But I also embrace all of Mother Africa and the universe, because throughout the earth plane there is so much knowledge from so many different cultures. And I, like others, are very protective of my space and my privacy. It might be time for me to open up a little bit more. But if you choose to connect with me, let me know you heard me on the show, so I will know where you're coming from. And do check out my archives at the Goddess Temple Palace. Tua Dua Internetter.
Dua. And Dua, we give thanks to everyone for the wisdom and for sharing. Whew. That energy is definitely, I feel it flowing. I am feeling this energy. We have the book coming out, Sekhmet Rising, but it's more than Sekhmet Rising. It's that divine feminine power that is rising. The female genital mutilation is ending, which is an ending of a vicious cycle for our sisters in the motherland. So we just give thanks that those prayers have been answered, and for a change for the young mamas that are being born who will not have to go through that. We give thanks for the women being allowed into the mysteries. They have kept things from us for so many years. They have tried to keep us out of places of, authority and spiritual systems. And those walls are being broken. Things are changing. We give thanks for this time of Aquarius and this energy of the goddess, which is rising. We give thanks to everyone who has listened in. And I do want all of my goddess sisters, I want you to know how much I love and adore you all. And it's We are definitely a divine reflection of each other, of the goddess, of the source, of the light, for sure. But we want to end, if you all would just say a few words to some of the young people who might be listening, or maybe they're listening on the archives at some point, or those who have that calling but have not necessarily stepped into it fully. What would you say to them as we close out? And try to make it brief, sis. We only got like 10 minutes, okay? Yeah.
I would say be patient and don't be so quick to rush into what it is that you feel like you want to do. Take the time to know what you're doing first. Take the time and respect yourself to study your craft, master your craft, master yourself first. Often the ego will make you, want to rush out and, you read a book and then you want to go out and do, act like you know what you're doing. I would say just take your time and take the time to learn your craft and be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process, and to, just honor the walk itself, honor the whole walk itself. And that would be, I guess, my biggest thing.
I would say two things. I would say the first is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And the second thing I would say is we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So don't be a charlatan student, and you won't attract a charlatan teacher.
Ashe.
Yes, Ashe. I would say to take the time to understand yourself and feel into yourself as you go forward in the journey, so that you have some sense of direction of what it is that you are going to bring to the journey and what the journey is going to bring out in you. And also to spend much more time relying on tuning in and focusing on the energies and the voices coming through you, rather than to look into a book and to try to find validation out of what you read, because everybody else's words are their own journey, and we can take other people's journey to a certain point to teach us up to a certain point, but after that point, then we need to step into our own shoes and start to walk with what we have, with the gifts that we have.
I would say take can't out of your vocabulary to remember that you can, but you must know that. And with that, walk with spirit. And by planting those seeds in from the womb time, mothers, that you help the children before they even come out to know and remember spirit, and the limitations are only the ones they place upon themselves. And Mukajara, much myrrh to you, much appreciation to you for all you do.
Dua.
I recall working with an old man, and he would say, sit with your Orisha, sit. And in hindsight, sometime later, after I got connected with Kajara, with the meditations, and when I first started with all of that meditation stuff, it was like, oh, God, that's something that white people do. But I'm telling you, it is so very powerful, doing that morning and night. Morning and night, taking the time to do that. But then meditating with your consecrated objects of Orisha, all right? Just sitting still with them. Those are nice small baby steps that open up so much. You just won't believe how you can get instructions of mix this with this, or put this here, or take this there, or and then really getting into the nature, like the moon and those cycles, and I've found to be very, very interesting, very powerful. And I remember Kajara telling us to get our numerology chart, and I went with a brother, Lloyd Strahan, that was referred to me by Moot. And just knowing what days are powerful, like, for example, today is one of my power days, and setting aside on those days to do certain rituals. And another thing that was brought into my practice was the fasting, adding fasting to it. It just really helps to raise your vibration. It takes you deeper into the astral world. So these are things you can do on your own without taking any kind of medicine or anything like that. So pretty cool.
Yeah. I would say stay humble, stay consistent with your work, self-work, the assignments or what is presented to you along your journey. Stay consistent, and breathe. That meditation, that sitting, the prayers is very key. And humility is key, because you have to open yourself to receive the messages from your teachers and from spirit. And it's a process that's ongoing. So, I don't really, even though I am Raseki Art Temple, I don't consider myself to have arrived. So I know that my path is still unfolding, the journey. And I'm open to more.
Do I? I think everyone has spoke. I give thanks once again to you all for being today. And it is important for us to honor our traditions. And if you work with your ancestors, you can find out the traditions that is for you to work with. So that is a starting point that you can start with without being initiated. You can work with your ancestors and let them guide you so that you'll move along the right path, the path that is and for your highest good. Because nobody has time or money or energy to waste. And it is, an energy exchange is expected. It is worth it. You can't put a price on knowledge and gaining spiritual energy, and I say, and always remember that you will get out of it what you put into it. So if you honor the process and honor the traditions, it can be very, very rewarding for you in so many ways. And we just give thanks for having this opportunity to share. Once again, I bow to you all. I'm honored by your presence and thankful. You all very soon, sometime this year, we have to get together, preferably at the Wetland Put. And make sure to go to the website at the Temple of the New to check that out. And go to our website at rasekihealing.com for information about our retreats. And we will have some other classes and other events coming up very soon. We've also just released our new meditation CD. It's called Nefer Aritu, Beautiful Chakras and Basic Meditations. You can listen and download them at raseki.bandcamp.com. And we'll be here again next Thursday, so tune in again
Much love and light to everyone. Uncle Jocelyn, we give thanks. You on the turf. Until the next time. Head turf.
What's up?
What's up, Pooh?
No, what's up?
Uncle Jocelyn. 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 Uncle Jocelyn.
So you're ready to ask the biggest question of your life, the only question before that question. How do you find the perfect ring to ask it with? With the incredible selection of diamonds at Jared and our price match guarantee, you can dare to stop searching and find the perfect diamond at a price you'll love. Visit your local Jared store today and dare to be devoted.
We promise to match any price on a like loose certified diamond of the same quality from any other jewelry retailer. See jared.com/price match for details.
So you're ready to ask the biggest question of your life, the only question before that question. How do you find the perfect ring to ask it with? With the incredible selection of diamonds at Jared and our price match guarantee, you can dare to stop searching and find the perfect diamond at a price you'll love. Visit your local Jared store today and dare to be devoted.
We promise to match any price on a like loose certified diamond of the same quality from any other jewelry retailer. See jared.com/price match for details.